temperature of the water, which is kind of interesting. So, okay, so that's the types of things that you'd find in the hard bottom substrates in the coastal ocean, right? Coral reefs, which we talked about, found in the tropics, kelp forests, found in temperate and subpolar regions. But now we need to look at, bless you, we need to look at the water that is above the continental shelf, right? There's actually animals that just live their entire life in that water above the continental shelf, okay? And we actually have a name for that. It's actually its own habitat. It's called the Neritic Zone, okay, the Neritic Zone. So let me scroll down so you can see this. So this is like our continental shelf, right? This right here, this is going to be the water above the continental shelf. That's the Neritic Zone, okay? Out in the open ocean, not over the continental shelf, this is going to be called the Oceanic Zone. Okay, that'll be the Oceanic. This is the Neritic. All right. So this is the place we're looking at right now. So in the Neritic Zone, you have lots of nutrients. You have lots of sunlight, so you get lots of phytoplankton. Okay, lots and lots of phytoplankton. And because you have lots of phytoplankton, that means that you can have a large zooplankton population. And actually, the most abundant type of zooplankton that you find here are copepods. Right? Do you remember last semester you guys drew copepods? You looked at them under the microscope. They're like the little bugs, yeah? Okay, so copepods live here. And then you have like benthic filter feeders that will be eating the phytoplankton. You also get like small fish that eat the zooplankton and then bigger fish that eat those fish. Okay, so that's in general what's going on here. You actually have fewer trophic levels here than you do in the open ocean because there's lots of abundant food. So this picture right here actually represents the trophic levels in the Neritic Zone, and it's kind of weird, right? Notice, what do you notice about this trophic pyramid? It's very pyramid-like? No. It's kind of like the Jamba Juice sign, yes. So in order to have this many primary consumers, how many primary producers would you have to have? Yeah, like a ton, right? So this green bar right here should extend way far out on both sides, but it's like less than the primary consumers. So like, how does that work, right? You're supposed to, only 10% of the energy gets passed on, so this is strange. So here's what happens, actually. You get what we call a standing crop of phytoplankton, okay? Standing crop of phytoplankton. So that's kind of like, on average, how many, phytoplankton are there, okay? Every day, when the sun comes out, because there's so many nutrients and so much light in this area, you get the phytoplankton just like grow really, really fast, divide very quickly in this area. And so every day you get like this huge increase in the number of phytoplankton. But because there's so many things that live here and they eat so much of the phytoplankton, they eat pretty much all of that, reproduction that those phytoplankton do every day. And so you actually get a bunch of primary producers, the phytoplankton, that reproduce a lot every day. And then because there's so many of them, you can support a lot of primary consumers, which can support the secondary, tertiary, and quaternary consumers. So we have this like little bar for the primary producers that represents kind of like the standing stock, and then every day they reproduce and produce way, 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 way more. Does that make sense? Okay. So how much phytoplankton can be produced in the Neritic Zone will be affected by upwelling, right? So if you have upwelling, you'll get even more nutrients, which means even more phytoplankton, which means even more animals. And then this Neritic Zone is going to be important for different animals, particularly like sessile creatures will spend part of their life as plankton, okay, in the Neritic Zone. Okay, so there'll be meroplankton in the Neritic Zone. Okay, and that allows for these sessile creatures to disperse to other places. So that's one of the reasons why it's important.